The Netherlands kickstart Euro 2024 and Group D with a victory 2-1 against Robert Lewandowski-less Poland. Weghorst, who continues his role as super sub for the Dutch, 2-1. That's 3 points for Koeman's team. We have a great show today. Welcome to ESPN FC Live. I'm Luis Miguel Echegaray. We have Stevie Nicol, Janusz Michalek, and of course, Fraser Cousinho Arias. Welcome, everybody. We'll be talking as well about day 4, France, and one of the favorites, of course. We'll discuss a little bit about Austria, the underdogs, and much more. But let's get going specifically on these 3 points from the Netherlands. Let's begin with the happier of the group. Let's go with Fraser. Give me your thoughts about this win, an important win in a very tough group, Fraser. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, tough group, so it needed to happen today. Wout Weghorst to the rescue. Luckily, it hasn't been the first time for him for the national team. He was really disappointed when he found out he wasn't in the starting 11 with the matches last week. But then he was also able to score as a sub against Iceland, also against Canada. So it wasn't surprising that he would be subbed on today. They only needed a few minutes. I would say keep him frustrated, keep him disappointed, because that's eventually what we need in the national team from Weghorst.
Absolutely. Wout Weghorst, 7 of his last 9 goals for the Netherlands have come as a sub, dating back to his brace off against Argentina in the 2022 quarterfinals. And by the way, the first game-winning goal, everybody, off the bench for the Netherlands at Euros since Robin van Persie against France in 2008. So super sub indeed. All right, Janusz Michalek, let it all out. Robert Lewandowski, it was 1-0 for a while, but in the end, they couldn't hold on. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's going to be relatively happy because given the image that Poland had, during the World Cup, even though Poland came out of the group, I think everyone remembers the style of play was really terrible. One of the easiest qualifying groups with the likes of Albania, Czech Republic to come out of it third. It's pretty embarrassing. Faroe Islands as well in that group. So I think in terms of image and the way Poland play, they deserve something out of it, right? I think Koeman will admit it, although with Dutch, you sometimes never know, but no pun intended in any way. But I think they were pretty sure that they were going to win this game easily. And I can understand that because the level of play from Poland in those tournaments that I've mentioned wasn't good. So they rode their luck a little bit, I thought, in the first half. Stevie, you'll know that Cody Gakpo, I don't think has played like this for Liverpool once. Perhaps it helps that he plays on the left side where he feels comfortable, where he played for PSV at his best. But in the second half, he wasn't there. And I thought Poland had their chances, outshot the Dutch in terms of, I think, in general and on target as well, I think, because we just finished. So but in the end, it's a loss. So what are you going to say? But I think it's promising in a way that maybe this team is being rebuilt. And let's face it, we're looking at an era past Lewandowski, right? So that's also positive that they could cope without him.
Yeah, they played without Robert Lewandowski. They did hold on, Stevie Nicol. It was 1-0 for a bit, but in the end, you thought, no chance. They were holding on to dear life. What did you make of it? Was it more to do with the Dutch power today, or just the fact that Poland are just not good enough?
I think it's amazing that when you're emotionally involved in a game, how you see it a different way. I'm kind of on a different spectrum to Janusz. I personally, I think it should have been maybe 4 at half time. Yes, Janusz was talking about Gakpo. He looked dangerous. The final product just wasn't there. Him and Depay could have had a couple of goals in the first half. Chesney made 3-4 really good saves. There was other opportunities. Depay blasted one over the crossbar. And the fact that the Poles went ahead was absolutely against the run of play.
I did say they rode the luck in the first half, right?
Honestly, I thought Poland reminded me of Scotland in the first half. Quite frankly, I really thought the game should have been over. They stuck at it. They had some shots, yeah. Verbruggen did make a couple of saves. But I think overall, for me, if the Dutch hadn't won this game, they would have been scratching their head thinking how.
Janusz, you want to quickly react to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I take the polls against the Scots, because I mean, Scots didn't do one thing in that
The
game.
enemy against the
I mean,
Scots.
Brent and Germany were good, but I mean, so maybe that, Stevie, you know me long enough. As I said, in the first half, there were issues in the back for Poland for sure, but I think they posed all kinds of problems. And I'm here in Europe now, and just reading the Dutch press and everybody. I mean, this would have been in their mind. An easy win. And as I said, I understand that, because the style of play from Poland for let's say 4 or 5 years has been just terrible to watch. So I think they'll at least be proud that they try to play football. So I think that's where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah, there's a transition
Right.
there. And
Yeah.
let's remember, as you said, this was a Polish team without Robert Lewandowski. And yes, obviously not one team is ever made of one player, but you can definitely get to that argument when you talk about somebody like Lewandowski. Fraser, want to focus a little bit on, what you saw of the Dutch, specifically offensively. Obviously, they dominated in possession. As Stevie said, it could have been so much more in the first half. Cody Gakpo, by the way, as Janusz said, not really delivering as much for Liverpool, but for the national team, his 10th goal in 25 matches, a product, of course, of playing alongside the likes of Xavi Simons, of course, and Memphis Depay. He missed a sitter as well. But what did you see from the Dutch offensively that you liked, and maybe something that could improve as the Euros continue?
I think Memphis played quite poorly. If it comes to possession, he lost a lot of balls. So that was a pity for the team, because they couldn't have the control they wanted from Memphis. And to be honest, Cody Gakpo, I know he doesn't play for Liverpool from that position all the time, but this is the Cody Gakpo we know from PSV Eindhoven, but also from the national team. Give him the ball quite early, actually, on their side of the pitch, and then be aggressive, be dominant. That's the Cody Gakpo we know from PSV Eindhoven as a young player, also for all the youth teams of the national team. So and I think it's also good for the other players. It gives them way more space. I think it's good for Memphis, because when Cody Gakpo has the ball, well, all the defenders of Poland need to make a decision. And actually, Xavi Simons, I know we talked about it yesterday for a bit already, but it's so frustrating to see him from that right side, which is not his favorite position. I hope Koeman will give him a chance from the left side, or maybe even as a number 10. I did understand that Wout Weghorst was subbed on, but at some point he also brought Jorginho Wijnaldum, who is playing in Saudi Arabia, Al Ettifaq, and I didn't even understand why he made the team. And definitely not coming on. I mean, I think he had like three touches or something like that. He didn't bring anything to the field. So I didn't understand those subs. The midfield, I think we need a bit more creativity. Joey Veerman is playing in the Eredivisie. He needs to step up his game, but that's the thing he always does. He has done it before. All the clubs he's been before, he had to get used to the level and then stepped up right away. So I expect him to do way better.
Yeah, let's remember as well that Frankie de Jong's absence obviously is major for the Dutch, and they've had to be flexible in that department. I mean, Nathan Ake was the assist for the second goal, so it shows how Koeman likes to use everything in his capability creatively. Xavi Simons, by the way, only 21 years old. We keep thinking that he's been around forever, like he's a young guy. Stevie Nicol, how far can the Dutch go here? It's a tough group. Austria, I think, are very underrated. France, of course. How far can the Dutch go at Euro 2024?
Listen, I think for the Dutch, it's about taking their opportunities. If they do that, then they can progress. When it comes to, I think there's no question they'll go through, particularly after they getting the 3 points today. There's no doubt they're going to get at least another point in the rest of the group, which will see them through. So it becomes knockout football. But then knockout football, you have to put the ball in the back of the net when you get the opportunity. And the fact that they made opportunities today will give them heart. But the fact that they left it so late and they had to bring on Weghorst and get a goal late on, which was a fortunate goal, to be fair. Ake in my opinion, was looking for Malin. Didn't find Malin. It came off the back of a Polish defender's calf, but then from there the finish was superb. Weghorst in a great spot and a fantastic finish. So if they take their chances, then they can go far. But I'm having watched them today and having watched some of the finishes, I'm not so sure. That to me is going to be the problem.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
been an
also
issue.
keep in
Go
mind
ahead.
that up until today, our midfield players combined only had like 24 caps in total, which is crazy. Definitely for a midfield, which is well the key positions of the 11 players. So that's also a bit hard, and they need to get used to it. So maybe be a little lucky in the group, and then everybody can grow. And that's the way to go for the Dutch, I think.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, because I want to give Stevie some credit. You know what I like about the Dutch is the ability to transition. It's incredible. I don't know, Stevie, if you watched the game against Scotland, right? The friendly. I mean, Scotland could have been up 3-0 in the first half, right? But they didn't take their chances. And in that game, and also against Canada as well, Canada pressed early. So today, I thought they were incredible, especially in the first half, coming out of back. Every mistake or every ball that turned over. That's something that if they do take care of the goal, I haven't seen a team. It's early, but I haven't seen a team to counter or transition, whichever one you like the Dutch. And I've seen that even before this tournament. So that's certainly a big weapon for them.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for the Dutch obviously will be once they play, as in the next game, against tougher opposition, and what they do and taking care of these chances. This is obviously almost always, definitely in the last decade or so, been a transitioning issue for the Netherlands, right? Trying to make sure that they have somebody that can really rely on. By the way, Wout Weghorst, everybody, I know I keep throwing you some stats, but he's the first Dutch player to score 3 major tournaments goals off the bench alongside Depay and Huntelaar as well, because they have 2. So Weghorst has 3. He's the one leading ahead. So if they can have that kind of help off the bench, Fraser, then things would look good. But what do you expect against France? And I love a round reaction with everybody there. Fraser, what do you expect against France? Because this is going to be arguably the toughest game in the group stage.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping for a good game since I'm going to the game as a fan. So yeah, I'm hoping for a good game, and I hope they will give like most of the possession to the France. But yeah, no, I know the French team doesn't like that way of playing, but yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to see Cody Gakpo and maybe a Malen. They are both really quick with the ball, so that would be nice. And I want to see like the Dutch playing in a different style, and also maybe Frimpong starting with his way of playing. That would be nice. But yeah, it's going to be a really tough game. But definitely with this 3 points in the pocket, it's hopefully a bit more secure.
A little bit more secure. Stevie, you have your Group D predictions already, I guess. You see the French and the Dutch going through, or is there any surprises that you come out of this?
No, I don't think so. I don't. I think the French and the Dutch will take care of Austria. The Dutch have already taken care of Poland, and that means that they go through. You know, I guess for the Dutch, it's kind of an opportunity to figure out where they are and what they need to tighten up on. You know, we've already spoken about the finishing. No question, they need to tighten up on that. But the French will give them a test defensively, and for me, that means that the question Koeman has to answer is, does he find a place for Van de Ven? Because there's no doubt that his pace will come in handy against a team like France, and certainly if they want to go forward and attack teams defensively. Poland had a few shots, we said today. Maybe Van de Ven can fill those holes. So, yeah, I think for the Dutch, the France game's a good test to figure out exactly where they are. But for France, for me, they're just going to keep pushing on, keep the machine going. They will not be spectacular. They won't be rotten. They'll be just enough. They do enough, seemingly, to win games, and I expect them to keep doing that.
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit more in detail of the French after the break. But Janusz, do you agree? Let's talk about the Mickey Van de Ven part, actually, because that's a good one. He became quite a quite a favorite in such a short amount of time for Tottenham as well. Could he be a good counter to France and Mbappé, Dembélé, Marcus Thuram, etc.?
He could be. Obviously, I still liked him better as a center back at Spurs, especially early last season. Remember where Spurs were on fire. Obviously, I thought Ake played very well. I mean, it's four in the back, but in possession today, clearly when you attack, right, one of them stays, one goes, and it was Dumfries the more attacking one, and Ake staying. But I thought he played a very intelligent game. So I don't know if Ake played himself out. I agree with Stevie that the recovering pace of Van de Ven is spectacular. The game should be great because both teams will try to play, and I think make a statement, right? I mean, you want to get those two games out of the way. We'll see, obviously, what France does, in the first game. So I'm looking forward to a good game, but it's crazy how deep the Dutch still are, given the fact that they've lost Koopmeiners and Frankie de Jong. That midfield, I don't know if you guys agree, is not spectacular. I think Koeman win, obviously, with Fairman and Schouten, because they understand each other. PSV had, they were unplayable for the most part, right? And it's not that I watched them every game, but I saw the results and the league standings. So I can understand that the two players that understand each other, when you lose players like Frankie de Jong and Koopmeiners, that makes sense. But I don't know about you guys, that midfield didn't wow me. Reinders is a good player, but he's still young and developing. So I suppose, when you look at the midfield of France, that may be an issue at some stage.
Yeah, and as Fraser said, the combined 24 caps in that midfield obviously needs a little bit more chemistry for the national team. But regardless, Fraser, Cousinho, Aria, your Dutch have 3 points. So we will say goodbye to you with a smile face and a victory. And hopefully we'll come back and see what happens after that big game against France. Thank you so much, Fraser.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day.
And let's keep Weghorst frustrated. That's good.
That's right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Fraser. That's Fraser Cousinho Arias, of course. All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll discuss Euro 2024 Day 4, which obviously includes France against a very underrated, in my opinion, Austria. But we'll talk much more after this ad. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. ESPN FC live, taking care of all recaps and previews for Euros. And of course, don't forget that next week Copa America starts as well. But let's talk about Day 4 Euros. Before we get into France, Austria, Stevie Nicol, I want to talk about Group E because Belgium against Slovakia kicks things off. It's actually their first competitive match facing each other. Previous games have been friendlies. And Group E, if you forgot, everybody, it's Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine. So on paper, Stevie Nicol, this should be a doable group for Belgium. What makes you and what do you expect of Belgium as they face Slovakia?
I'll be honest with you. I really don't know what to expect from Belgium. I mean,
why is that?
On paper, you look at the group, you look at the history, it's got Belgium written all over it. But for me, this is a side in decline. And that means that, for me, teams like Romania in particular, I've got an opportunity of an upset. And if they can do it, the other teams in the group can do it as well. So I'm really not sure. I am not confident that Belgium will turn round and play the type of football that we're used to. Certainly in previous tournaments, in previous years, star names at their best, at their peak. I mean, it just seems and feels that they're slowly going down the hill. And so for me, that's great news for this group, because I think this group's wide open. And I think we will see if Belgium can use their experience as much as their ability. And if they can use their experience, then they will plot their way through this group. But if they don't, then I think there could be some surprises along the way.
Do you agree, Janusz? What do you make of this Belgian
Yeah, I
side?
mean, it's hard to argue with that. The only thing, just to say something different, would be that that golden generation is no longer. We're not talking about that, right? I mean, it's always been a dark horse, even though they had quality under Roberto Martinez, who kind of is dealing with the same golden generation in Portugal, right? It's a little bit similar. There's more depth there. I just think that maybe because that pressure's off, Stevie, I don't know if you agree, kind of like nobody's talking about Belgium as a dark horse anymore, or a side that should be, I don't know, maybe winning or be in the final of a major competition. So there's still that quality. I just look at, De Bruyne is De Bruyne. I think Jeremy Doku, I've watched a game or two of them, and he's looking good. Even Lukaku's looking good, continues to score goals. Lando Trossard. So there are players there, right? Like you said, there are names that may be on the decline to some degree, but I think they should be able to negotiate this group. I don't necessarily worry about that. How far can they go after that? That may be questionable, but the expectations are way lower. And I just got a feeling that that's a positive for that side.
Yeah, and their last two friendlies were against Montenegro and Luxembourg, so you really can't take too much out of what happens there. But Stevie, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is there, Lukaku's there, as Janusz was saying, others as well, Trossard, Yuri Tillemans, but there is other talent, young talent, right? Doku, of course, Bakayoko, I think, is somebody that's worth looking at. Do you not think that maybe, even though this golden generation that we keep talking about, they haven't produced, but is this maybe... this is it. With this group, they can maybe at least get out, and then build some momentum as they go in the knockout stages? Or are you legitimately worried about what they can do in this tournament?
Look, I think the fact that they have those names that you mentioned means that if they get through this group, on the day, they're capable. I think that's probably the best way I would look at it. On the day, if they're all at their best, they're all firing all cylinders, then they can give anybody a game. I don't think any of us would argue that. The problem is can they consistently, game after game, put a level of performance together? And I just don't see it. I really don't. And all the individuals you spoke about, again, I feel as though it's about them individually. I never seem to feel it's about the team. It's always about individuals, and they're playing against sides. And if they want to go all the way, teams like France are just, yes, you could say Griezmann's an individual and Mbappe, but the rest are there to be the unit and to get them the ball and get them through it and get them to the final so that they can produce. I just don't get that feeling about Belgium. I think individually, as I said, they have ability, but as a unit, they always seem to drop. They just seem to drop the level when you very least think it's going to happen.
Not only that, but if you think about it, right? I mean, and we need a second. I always wait for a second game because we need the confirmation. But we had so many question marks about some big sides, right? And look what Germany has done. We had question marks. I know they've been better, but maybe they weren't the favorites just a couple of months ago. You look at Spain; it's a different Spanish team. It's being rebuilt. Remember under Aragonés and Bosque, it was pretty much Real Madrid and Barcelona, and they didn't need a manager, and they played blind, right? And because they understood each other so well. It's a different Spanish side, and that was pretty impressive. Italy, I thought, looking at the squad and looking at the players that they've lost, that spine, the back, the Bonucci, Chiellini, then Acerbi, big names out. And okay, you can say it was just Albania, but I thought they were super impressive. And I didn't think they were going to be the one that we're going to talk about. And we haven't seen France and England just yet. So for a team like Belgium, I think, again, I'm going to side with Stevie here. It's hard to see a deep run from them.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, everybody, I know that we keep talking about this is their moment, but Belgium, since they were beaten by West Germany in 1980, they've never reached the final four of the Euros. They were knocked out in the quarterfinals in each of the last editions, and that was their best moment. So now it's even harder. All right, so very quickly, okay, because this group, because we've got to talk about France and Austria. Very quickly, both of you. I'll start with you, Janusz, and then Stevie, I'll ask you as well, please. Speaking of Group E, Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, Ukraine. I mean, yes, on paper, Belgium should be winning that, but now looking at some really good, young, talented players in all those three teams, maybe this group is interesting in terms of who the top two are. So, Janusz, who do you see getting out of here in the top two out of Group E?
Won't be original. The Eastern European countries are not doing well so far, or at least from that block. I don't have a lot of faith in Romania in terms of causing surprise. Well, let's not forget. I mean, somebody can get out because of third place, right? 4 out of 6. So,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's
right.
possibilities, but past that, the top two teams, you can't look past Belgium and Ukraine. Ukraine will play. I mean, they have a lot of quality there. And as we said, Poland just beat them. But again, it was just a friendly, and they didn't play all their top players in that game. But as always, right, they'll play for their countries. They're going to have an unbelievable support in Germany as well. So I can't see Slovakia or Romania putting together a run. I mean, but yeah, one game can change and give you momentum. But I'm just going to stick with Belgium and Ukraine in that group.
Okay. How about you, Stevie?
Well, having said that, there could be some surprises. I'm going to go with Janusz with Belgium and Ukraine. Listen, it's one thing to feel like there's going to be upsets, but it's another thing to try and put it down in fact. And the fact is that Belgium still have better players than their opposition. So, yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I was using my money, I'd probably still put it on Belgium and Ukraine to get through. But I've just got a little gut feeling there could be a surprise with Belgium.
It could, because this is the sort of group that you think a third place team can come out of, right? I mean, it's not a group of death where everybody's going to be taking points off each other. I mean, here it may happen, but it could be in a positive way where, Slovakia gets a win, you get that momentum, and all of a sudden you're looking, okay, 3 points, I get one more. At the very least, maybe, with 4 points, you're coming out of that group regardless, wherever it may be, second or third. So that's why I think you're right in saying that there could be a surprise. But still top two if you were a betting man. I mean, it's hard to look past Belgium and Ukraine.
Yeah, and a reminder to everybody that it's 4 best third place teams that can get out of this 6 groups. We'll have to wait and see. All right, before we wrap up, let's talk about France against Austria. This should be a good game, everybody, because obviously we know what the French can do. Stevie Nicol, we know, we've talked about it. Kylian Mbappe, Marcus Thuram, Dembele, Griezmann, there's talent everywhere. Defensively, they're very deep as well. But watch out, everybody, for Ralf Rangnick's Austria, because this is not the Austria of your grandparents. This is a gegenpressing, a very aggressive Austria. This could be a tricky game for the French, Stevie, don't you think?
Yeah, it could be. France, I kind of said it earlier, France is a team that they're never going to be the France of the Platini years, where they play silky soccer and, they're lovely to watch and all this. They're just very pragmatic, and I think they'll be the same again. And the thing is, they're going to play against an Austria side that is this is a unit. You talk about a team that doesn't really have any superstars. This is a team that's a unit. It's together. It does everything as one. And that means they'll be closing as one, they'll be sitting tight as one, they'll defend as one, So it's going to be a tricky game for the French. But I think what separates both of these sides is, yes, Austria is a good unit, but France is a good unit as well. And the difference between the two sides is France have got some game winners. They got some match winners. They got some guys who can just produce something from nowhere. And ultimately, that's why they win games. as much as anything else, and that's why they'll get far in the tournament. And the reason that they're one of the favourites, they are a team, but they've got some superstars, and I think one of those superstars is just going to be the difference today over an Austria side that absolutely will make it difficult. And if they can get their noses ahead on an opportunity that may arise, then it'll certainly be a tough day for France. But it's hard to go against France.
Yeah, statistically speaking, Austria have won only one of their last 10 matches against France in all competitions. That was 3-1 FIFA World Cup qualifier in Vienna in 2008, everybody. So it's a time. Janusz, do you agree? And also, here's an added part of the question for you, Janusz. If there's a weakness in the French side, because no team is perfect, where are you looking at here? Not just against Austria, but overall.
Okay, well, the first one, the weakness, I'll tell you last. But I just wonder if this is a good game for Austria to do what they always do, and it's to press the way they do, right? I mean, against France, they'll like that. I think they'll enjoy that much more than a team that sits with a low block. Because if Austria is not perfect, right, with the likes, Mbappe, Dembele, Thuram, and, in the midfield you have Kante who can run forever, Rabiot who can find a pass, Griezmann has been spectacular as well. So I don't think that Ralf Rangnick will change. Last game against Switzerland wasn't good. Obviously, they haven't lost forever. And if they play like they did against Germany a while back, although Germany weren't good, but, they beat Turkey 6-1, so they're capable of scoring goals as well. But Stevie, I'm thinking if you hard press France, I mean, they have players to get out of trouble, and then they have pace and ability to just go, if you give them space behind. So I think France will actually say, you know what, we don't mind Austria if they press like that. The weakness may be, although, some players play better for country, but obviously Stevie Konate wasn't good for Liverpool, was he? I mean, inconsistent. He was injured a lot, but it wasn't a great season. And certainly next to him, you see Upamecano, who had pretty much a disaster of a season at Bayern Munich as well. So we've seen them play extremely well in the last World Cup. Maybe getting together with such a strong team gives you that ability to maybe say, hey, we don't have to defend all that much, right? But I think you have to look at the heart of that defense, and you have two players that really have had a poor season, I think.
Yeah, so let's wrap up, everybody, with quick predictions then for this game, Austria-France. You don't have to go too much into it. Just give me a scoreline, and I'm pretty sure I know where everybody's going, but let's just hear it for the sake of it. Stevie Nicol, what do you make? Austria against France. What's the score?
France 1, Austria 0.
Oh, wow, it's a tight one. Janusz?
I'll go 2-0. I was thinking 2-0. Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, okay. So the French should be fine in this game. But regardless, it's an interesting group, of course, as the Euros continue. Thank you so much, everybody. By the way, this show, ESPN FC Live, continues throughout Euros, throughout the tournament. Make sure to tune in on ESPN FC YouTube. Janusz Michalik, take care, be safe out there. Stevie Nicol, happy Father's Day, everybody, by the way. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
And of course, and we will see you next time. Till then, bye-bye.